Hello everyone, and welcome to my plans for the various readathons that I will be trying to participate in for the month of July. So this first one has already started. It is, as of filming this video, June 28th. Right now I'm talking about Tales from Two Trails, which is hosted by Kim and her mother, Julie. Kim is the leader of the team that I am on, which is Team Elephants. And we're pretty much neck and neck with who's going to finish first. So come on, Team Elephants, let's pull this through. So I've got the prompts for my team. There are 2 challenges, 3 reading prompts, and 1 activity prompt. So let me tell you about the non-reading prompts first. So for Tales from Two Trails for the quote-unquote July edition, runs from the 25th, or basically the 26th through the 25th of each month. So 1 is to take a picture of a cozy reading night, so I still need to do that. Challenge number 2 is to take a picture of a read outside, still need to do that. Those will be easy to do. I can pretty much do those in one day, so we're good there. And then the activity prompt is to mention 1 book that we would like to take with you if you were sent to a deserted island. That you can read over and over. Now, obviously, this isn't like this is the only book you'll ever have. You know, you can take other books, but what is the 1 book that absolutely has to go with you? I'm still thinking about that. I've got a couple of options. So, you'll have to wait for my wrap-up to decide, to hear which book I decided on. Now, for the reading prompts. One of them is actually the group read, and you get more points if you combine the group read with one of the prompts. And the prompt and the group read that is being combined is Author from an Island. And so Kim selected Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is a novella, and I did get an ebook copy, so I have that on my Kindle. I just need to charge my Kindle. But Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I actually have been wanting to read this for a while, but it's just never been a huge priority, so I will read this one for that. So that will be the group read, and Kim has selected that to get the extra points, it needs to go with an author from an island. Okay. The next reading prompt is a book with an opposing viewpoint to me. This could be whatever opposing viewpoint. It could be that the book says dogs are better than cats. My viewpoint is cats are better than dogs. I love dogs with all my heart, but cats have even more of a special place in my heart than me. I don't know, just something simple like that. I am actually going to go with my plan for now. Now these can change. I have it written in pencil so I can erase it and write what I actually go with. But my tentative plan is to go with Caution Tape by Molly Doyle and J.D. Midnight. This is a dark romance, and the opposing viewpoint, there's no synopsis on the back, but from what I can remember, it's basically wanting to own or possess a person to do with what you want to sexually. That is a big no-no in my mind. In one of the POVs, it is something that he can do. And in me, it's like, no, no, no. So that is an opposing viewpoint. So I'm going to go with that one, hopefully. I do look forward to getting this one. And my eye has been on this book for a while. And so I really, really want to get to this one. So hopefully this is what I'll read. And we'll go from there. As of filming this, I am currently working on the House Witch number 3. So if it turns out there's a viewpoint in this, I'm not very far in. I'm only 100 pages. But I don't know. I could use this one if there's something that I see that is ultimately opposing. So things can get switched around. So that's why I wrote the book in pencil. Okay. And then the third and final reading prompt for Team Elephants for Tales from Two Trails is to read a nonfiction. I'm going with a short book. I am going with a workbook. So this one I could just pick up and work on every now and then. My plan is to start working on this today as of filming this. And this is I Am Autistic, a workbook written and illustrated by Chanel Mariah. It says sensory tools, practical advice, and interactive journaling for understanding life with autism by someone diagnosed with it. I just thought this would be interesting. Maybe I'll learn something new. about myself or about autism in general. So, yeah, so we'll see. So I'll start working on that. And this is my nonfiction selection. So, and this is fairly short, and especially where it's journaling, I thought it would hopefully go fairly quickly. It's less than 200 pages. It looks like there's a bunch of empty pages at the back that we can just write in. Aside from the acknowledgements, 133 pages. Now some of those are just journaling pages, but so yeah, so fairly short. But again, this is still a nonfiction because it's like a self-help, which is a part of nonfiction. So I am counting this. So those are the books for my July edition of Tales from Two Trails. So the angle of the camera might change because I am reading the prompts for the readathons, looking at the prompts, and then picking the books. And in between each one, or in between each readathon, I am charging my camera. So it's on and off of where I have it sitting. Apologies for that. So the next readathon that I have just written down here, and from now on it's going from the readathon that was first written down in my notebook to the most recent one. So these, other than that, it's no particular order. It just happens to be what I wrote down first. So this one is the orange edition of Reading Rainbow Chain, which is each book has to connect to the next book. There are 5 prompts, and this is hosted on Discord by Bridge 4 Books. So prompt number 1 is a book with fruit or food on the cover. My pick for now, again, I have these written down in pencil so that if my mood changes, I can erase it and write down the book that I actually used for the prompt. So this one could go way off the rails from what I have here, because the next book that for the prompt number 2 has to somehow connect to this one. You'll see what I mean. So a book with fruit or food on the cover. There's radishes, there's onions, there's some kind of leaves that you can use for seasoning or whatever, like lettuce. He's holding pepper, he's holding salt, or like salt shaker, pepper shaker. He's tossing something in what looks like a wok. But yeah, so there is food on the cover. I'm not going to go through the synopsis of each of these. I'm just going to hold them up and call it good. And then if I decide to go with an ebook, again, things will change. So things can go way different, especially for this particular readathon. So prompt number 2 is the title of book number 2 must start with the last letter of the last name of the author from prompt number 1, of the book that's used for prompt number 1. So for this book, if this is the one I go with, the last letter of the last name, which is Jackson, is N like November. So the book that I've decided to hopefully go with for that one is a short book, and that is Night Games. So N by R.L. Stine. So this is my selection for that. Prompt number 3 is to turn to page 50 of this book. And that's what I did. So page 50, you scan it, and then you find a word, whether it's a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. I went with, I think it's an adjective. I did a Google search. It does say adjective. And so the word that you find, the book for prompt number 3 must have the word that you found in this book in the title. The word I found was dark, and that is the word I'm going with. So for dark, I really want to go with this book. This was one of the book selections for Autism Reads, and I ran out of time. I didn't get to that one. I've read all the other books for 2024 Autism Read except for this one. So I really want to get to this one. And again, the word was dark. I'm going with Dark Apprentice by Val Neal. Okay? So this is the book number 3. Prompt number 4 is to read a book that is a different genre than the book that you are using for prompt number 3. This is a fantasy. There is another tag for this one, and that is horror, but the book that I've chosen to go with prompt number 4 is not a horror, and it is not a fantasy. So the book that I decided to go with for a different genre is, for right now, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This will be a reread for me. I gave this one a 5-star on the first read, and I'm really excited to reread it. This is the group read for book Stara which is hosted by Amy, Danielle, and Paige. I hope I got the names right for that. And so this is the July and August selection. So I'm hoping to really participate in this one, and I'm excited. This is a mystery thriller. So definitely not a fantasy, and it is not a horror. So mystery thriller. So yes, that is my selection for prompt number 4. And the final prompt is so prompt number 5 is to read a book that has more pages than the book that you selected for prompt number 4. So this one has, I did look, 387 pages. So the book I will be going with, hopefully, is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is book number 2 in the Broken Earth series or saga, whatever it is. And this book has 397 pages. So 10 more pages. It is still more pages than the previous one. So these are the books I hope to go with for the Orange Reading Rainbow chain. We will see. This can go way off, of course. So again, I have written these down in pencil so I can erase them and write down in ink what books I actually did go with. So you'll find out when I do, and if I do, but I'm planning on it when I do a reading wrap up for this particular readathon. If I completely fall off the rails and don't read anything, then you will not see anything, and I may just mention it in something saying I didn't get to it if I mention it at all. But I hope to do a wrap up. That is my plan. Hopefully I can stick with it. The next readathon I have to tell you about is also hosted by Bridge for Books over on Discord. And this one is July by the Days. There are 9 prompts. So let me tell you my tentative selections for these ones. Prompt number 1 is Alice in Wonderland Day. This is to read a book that is an Alice retelling or inspired by Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going with hopefully an ebook for this one. And it is called Curiouser and Curiouser. And I believe the little tag is that this is a steampunk retelling. And this was written by Melanie Karsak. Prompt number 2 is 7-Eleven Day, and this is to read a book with a number in the title or on the cover, and that's what I'm going with, is on the cover. So Dark Apprentice by Val Neal. It says Fall of Magic, Book 1. So, and that's on the cover. So that is on the cover. So that's what I'm going with. Prompt number 3 is 4th of July, which is the Independence Day in the United States. So 4th of July, this is to read a book that features a people or a place fighting for freedom. For this one, my selection might be Jade City by Fonda Lee. And the reason why I say that, it says, now the war is over and a new generation vies for control of a capital city. So they're fighting for their freedom, for control of something. So that's how I think that'll work. It just kind of gives me that vibe too. So number 4 is Moon Day. This is to read a book with a moon on the cover or in the title. I'm going with on the cover. This is a library book that I have checked out, Night Warriors. As you can see, there's a moon there. So there's a moon on the cover. Prompt number 5 is Cowboy Day. This is to read a Western or a book that has cowboy items on the cover or in the title. I'm going with an actual Western for this one, and that is The Last of the Plainsmen by Zane Grey. Again, a library book, and this one does have a Western sticker. So, and he is I guess, a well-known Western author. Prompt number 6 is Scotch Day, and this is to read a book that takes place in Scotland. This is a book I wanted to read in June but did not get to, and that is Kilt Trip by Alexandra Kiley. This does take place in Scotland, so yep. Let's see, does it say specifically where in Scotland or just Scotland? Nope, just Scotland. Okay. And number 7 is Lipstick Day. This is to read a book with lips or lipstick on the cover or in the title. I'm going with on the cover. And that is Kidnapped by the Krampus by Emily Shore. There's a woman there. She has lips, and they are red lips, like she is wearing a red lipstick. So to me, this counts. Prompt number 8 is Hawaii Day. This is to read a book that takes place in Hawaii or on an island, and I'm going specifically with a book that was on another readathon. I'm trying to get these to cross over as much as I can. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by The author is from an island. I don't think this takes place on an island. Okay, so I had to do a little switch because Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, as far as I know, is that the author is from an island place. At least that's what I've been told. So, and I'm not sure if where it takes place or anything. So I did a Google search for books that take place or are set in Hawaii. And the book that came up that I actually have on my Kindle, I'm going with this one instead, and that is One Boy, No Water by Leua Parker. So that is the book I will be going for, takes place in Hawaii or on an island. And then the final prompt for July by the days is Cow Appreciation Day, and this is to read a book that takes place on a farm. Another Kindle book that I have that I will be going with is Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton, and it does say in the synopsis that he's working his farm or something like that. So, yep, those are the selections for July by the days, hosted again by Bridge 4 Books over on Discord. This next readathon is for Monsters University. Now, this one is a team-based readathon, and you can submit a preference for what team you want to be on. I just said, put me wherever I'm needed. So I was sorted onto Team OK, and each book there's a point. So it's a point-based, team-based readathon, and this is over on Discord. So you get 50 points for reading a prompt assigned to your team. You can attack another team by reading a prompt assigned to them. You can get 1 additional point per page if the book is over 400 pages. So if I read a 401 page book, it's 1 point. And you get 20 points when the book you read has a cover that is at least 50% of your team's color. So in my case, Team OK, the color is green. None of the books I've selected will get me that bonus. So now again, this can definitely change. So I will tell you all of the prompts, but my priority is to read books specifically for my team. And then any additional books that I read outside of the prompts for my team, then I'll count. So those ones will just kind of be determined as I read. So let's start specifically with my team prompts. So prompt number 1 is called Randomly Selected, and this is to grab a handful of books and use a wheel to decide the next read. So this shelf that you're seeing up here is going to be my handful of books, okay? Because those are all books that I want to get to in the month of July. So I have pulled up a random color wheel generator, and then I'm going to pick a book from those books that have the color on here. So spin. There we go. I wish there was sound. I do like the clicking sound. Pink. So I need a book that has pink on the cover. So let me see what I've got. So the book that I am tentatively selecting right now is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. As you can see, there's shades of pink, and there's pinks and purples and some blues in there. So this is my selection. Prompt number 2 for Team OK is to win, and this is to finish a series. I am in the middle or at the start of a ton of series, but there is one series I have 1 book left to read, and it is a trilogy, and that is Reached by Ali Condi. This is a young adult dystopian, so hopefully I'll get to this one. This one is a chunker, and this is over 400 pages. So if I read this book, it looks like it's 512 pages, which would give my team an extra 112 points, which would be really good. I wouldn't get the 20 bonus points because this is mostly red. There's no green on here, but this will finish a series if I'm able to get to this one. Prompt number 3 is journaling, and this is to read a book that features a journal or diary entry. This one I decided to hopefully go with an ebook. And I did a Google search for books that feature diary entries, and this is the one that came up. So we'll see. I know I have a middle grade book in my room, but I do want to get a couple of ebooks in here. So that's why I'm going with an ebook in this case. But if I do pick up the book that is actually physically in my room, I'll go with that one instead. But we'll see. The one that I've opted for this is Bridget Jones's Diary by Helen Fielding. Prompt number 4 is Sullivan, and this is to read a book that features people that are well known or famous. For this one, it was a little bit more difficult because I figure you kind of have to go into the book, and it depends on the world if they're going to be well known or famous. But I decided to take a gamble and a risk on this one. I'm going with Dark Apprentice by Val Neal. And the reason why I say this one would work is because it says, where does it say? His only option is Medea, a mage so deadly even the enforcers give her a wide berth. So she is well known and famous, not necessarily in a good way, but still well known. So I'm saying it counts. And then prompt number 5 for Monsters University for Team OK is One Eye, and this is to read a book that is told in the third point of view. For this one, I would like to read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And if I read another book that fits this prompt before I even get to this one, I'll use whatever book has third POV before I even get to this one. So it just depends on what I pick up first. But this is told in third person, so hopefully that one will work. So those are the books for Team OK. Now I will go ahead and tell you what the other teams are and what their prompts are. I'm not going to pick books for these ones. It'll just be whatever additional books I pick up in addition to hopefully these plus Bridget Jones's Diary. I will try to slot into the other teams to attack the other team. And then obviously if a different book I pick up fulfills if I pick up another book before these ones, then I'll put them in for my actual team prompts. So again, this is just a tentative. Definitely, that's why I'm doing it in pencil. So likely, highly likely to change. So the next team is Team Hiss or Hess, whatever it is. The prompts are Snake Tongue. This is to read a book with a snake on the cover. Number 2 is Rock and Roll Vibes. This is to read a book featuring a musician. Number 3 is Misunderstood. So this is to read a book where the main character feels or actually is misunderstood. Number 4 is H is the letter. So the author's name has to start with the letter H. And then the final prompt for this team is Halfway There. And this is to read a book that is the middle of a series. So I would imagine the series has to be complete. Now my question on this would be, if it's a 4-book series, obviously if it's a trilogy, book 2 would be the middle. But if it's a 4-book or a 6-book series, so like an even book series, which book would technically be the middle? So like a 4-book series, is it book number 2 or book number 3 that would be the middle of the series? I don't know. Next one is Team PNK, so Team Pink. The 5 prompts are the same. This is to read a book with a similar plot to one of your favorite books. Number 2 is Pretty. This is to read a pretty book. Number 3 is Giggling, a book that you think will make you laugh. Number 4 is Three Eyes. So this one is supposed to have a book with more than 2 points of views. And number 5 is Red Eyes, and this is to be read a book where the cover has been changed within the last year. That one would be a bit more difficult for me to fulfill. A lot of research on that one. Or more research than I would like to do into that. So that, I'm glad I wasn't put on that one, because that's more research than I want to do. So anyway, the next prompt is Team Roar, and the prompts are Jocks. So this is to read a book featuring sports, or featuring a sport. Number 2 is Invisible. This is to read one that you forgot was on your shelf, on your bookshelf. Number 3 is Horrifying, a book you are scared to pick up. Number 4 is Popular. This is to read a book that you've heard about everywhere. Number 5 is The In Crowd, and this is to read a book set in the same country as you. Where I am in the United States, this one would be fairly easy because a lot of books are in the United States. 2 more teams. This one is Team Jocks. The prompts are 1 Cheats. This is to read a book where you have read or watched a review of that book. Number 2 is Loud. This book has been everywhere, but you have not heard much about this book. So you've seen it everywhere, but have not heard about it, much about it. Number 3 is Wings. So this is a book that is on the top of your TBR. Number 4 is Younger Version. So this is to read a 2024 release. And number 5 is Horn, and then in parentheses is his Y. And this is to read a book that makes you excited. So however you interpret that. And then the final team is Team Eek. And the prompts are number 1, Girl Power. This is to read a book with a strong female character. Number 2 is Color of the Rainbow. This is to read an LGBTQ plus book. Number 3 is Eek, E-E-K, which is to read a book with an alliteration in the title. In parentheses, I have where it's 2 words. It has 2 words with the same letter in a row. Prompt number 4 for this team is Library Was the Last Place. This is to read a borrowed book. And the final prompt for Team Eek is Underestimate. And this is to read a book you have not heard great things about. So those are the prompts for Monsters University. Definitely let me know if you're doing this one and what team you were sorted onto. All right, so this next one I'll tell you about is also hosted by Bridgeford Books over on Discord. And the theme of this is summer camp. There are different badges to try to get. And the TBR graphic where you pick something for the prompt and you can insert an image of the book, it has 1 spot for each category. So like we have camping, orienteering, and canoeing. There are 3 prompts per thing, but the TBR graphic only has 1 spot per thing. So I'm picking 1 out of all of them, and that's what I'm going with. And then if I have time, I'll go back through it again and try to do the badges again. Now, if I'm reading something else, let's say, for example, camping is one of them, and the 3 prompts, the first one is camping or a camp theme heavily featured. Let's say I read a book for that fits that really well, then maybe I'll go with that prompt rather than the other 2, or one of the other 2. So it's kind of up in the air. So let's go ahead and get into this one. So the rule of this one is that the books need to be middle grade or higher and need to be at least 150 pages or more. So underneath camping, we have 3 options. 1 is camping or a camp theme heavily featured. Number 2 is fire, flame, forest, or mountain on the cover or in the title, and that's what I'm going with, which I have selected. Again, these are all tentative, and so I have written them down in pencil. So the one I have selected for this one will be Kidnapped by the Krampus by Emily Shore. There's flames of fire on the cover on the candles. And then prompt or option number 3 for camping is takes place in a forest or in the mountains at least 25% of the time. For that one, with me, I'm just going, if it's not on the cover, I can't really pick one unless I know like a serial killer is stalking someone in the woods. Then, but more than likely, I'm not going to know until I read it. Next badge is orienteering. Prompt number 1 is to read a book with a map in it. My option is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. The map is at the beginning here. Right there it is. So, The Rage of Dragons. Option number 2 is where the main character goes on a quest. And number 3 is ask a cabin member, so someone on Discord, for 3 recommendations, and then you pick one of those. The next badge is canoeing, and option number 1 is to read a book with a water-related word on the cover or in the title. Dark Water by Koji Suzuki. This one would be my first pick. Option number 2 is a book that is set on an island, and number 3 takes place on water at least 25% of the time in the book. The next badge is the Friendship Badge, and this one is to read a Facebook or a Discord buddy read or a book club pick. That's what I'm going with. Autism Read Selection. This is on Discord, and so this is the buddy read that I host every month, and this month's selection for July is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig, who is this author is autistic. I did read that to confirm that, and so that's what I'm going with. Prompt number 2 is to read a book with a found family, and number 3 is featuring a strong platonic relationship. The next badge is stargazing, and this is to read a book that takes place in space. All of the books I've selected, as far as I'm aware of, take place on Earth. Whether it's a fictional place or reality, nothing takes place in space. So I'm skipping that one. Number 2 is to read a book that has stars or the night sky on the cover or in the title. Night Games by Fear Street. Night, it's night, and if you get close enough, it's hard to see in the camera because it's a dark navy blue, but there actually are some stars there, so that will work. And then option number 3 is to read a science fiction. And those are all for your junior, for the juniors, or something like that. They're divided into junior and then master. So underneath the master, your badges are first aid. So you can read a book. Option 1 is with a title that starts with CPR. So CPR. Number 2 is Something Broken on the Cover. I have picked Reached by Ali Condi. She's standing in a broken glass orb, so that will work. And then number 3 is the main character is a first responder. I did a Google search, and there's a lot of romances, or quite a few romances, where the characters are first responded, main character is a first responder. So I may end up going with that one, but we'll see. The next badge is citizenship. So option 1 is takes place in a non-Western country. So not Europe, not Canada, not America, and not Australia. Okay. I could, if I really wanted to, maybe use Darkwater by Koji Suzuki. I know this is translated from Japanese. I don't know if all of the stories will take place in Japan, but that would, if they do, then that would work. The next one is translated from a foreign language. Again, Darkwater would work as it is translated from Japanese. It is definitely a foreign language to me. Option number 3, which is the one that I have selected, is a book that heavily features political intrigue, and I think this would fit that bill. Jade City by Fonda Lee. The next badge, or the last official, well, there's one more badge after this. The last badge is arts and crafts. So the first option is the main character is an artist, a craftsman, or a tradesman. And sometimes the synopsis doesn't tell you that that's what their profession is, so I wouldn't know until I read it, more than likely. Number 2 is a craft or something homemade in the title or on the cover. That one was a little bit more difficult with all the books that I had that I could easily glance at, but this one was pretty easy. Main character is an apprentice, and I think this one we follow 2 main characters, and that is Dark Apprentice, plus Apprentice is in the title, by Val Neal. Nikolai doesn't want much out of life. It talks about it, and he is going to Medea. So, and then it says that Medea swore off. So yes, so this will be 2 different POVs. One of them being Nikolai, and Nikolai is a apprentice to this witch person, Medea. So that definitely will work. And then there is the bonus prompts. So the badge that is the bonus it has 2 prompts that you can go through, and every single team member must complete these prompts in order to be able to, for your team to get the food fight badge. So this one I have not selected a book for because it is 100 pages to read a book that is 100 pages longer than your prior read. So let's say I read, or I finish I Am Autistic on the 30th of June, which is the last day of the month. This book is 133 pages, so I would want to read a book that's around 233 pages. So it's just going to depend on what fits the bill with what I'm currently reading and things like that. So I have not selected one for that just because that one is just all completely up in the air. The second prompt for Food Fight is to read a book that has rain, insects, or bugs in the title or on the cover. My pick would be The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. Again, these can always be replaced with something else, but there are like bees on here. Like there's one right there, there's one right there, and I looked it up and bees are classified underneath insect. So that definitely fits that bill. So those are my tentative selections for summer camp hosted by Bridge for Books. Let me know, are you participating in this one? All right, another readathon. This one is also hosted by Bridge for Books. They do a lot of readathons over there. This one is Go for the Gold, and this one is based off of the Summer Olympics that will be happening as it is 2024. So we have several groupings, and each grouping has 5 prompts, 4 of which are reading prompts, 1 is an activity prompt. So let's go ahead and get into these, and I'll show you my tentative TBR for these. Again, these will always change, and who knows what I will get to, and I may go in a completely different route on all of these. The first category is opening ceremony. Prompt number 1 is Summer Olympics. This is to read a book that is published in July or August. My selection for this one would be Caution Tape by Molly Doyle and J.D. Midnight. This was published, or the publication date was July 25th, which is my mom's birthday, July 25th of 2023. I've moved the stack over a little bit, so now you can see this is a big stack. Prompt number 2 is Olympic Rings. This is to read a book with a 5-word title. The Rocky Road to Ruin. 5 words. This was written by Mary Allen, and this is a cozy mystery. And cozy mysteries tend to be rather quick reads for me. Number 3 is Olympic Origins. This is to read a book based on Greek mythology. For this one, I will go with an ebook. If I do get to this one, I'll need to get a copy of it, but my plan is to get it digitally because I think this is a short story, and that's Galatea by Madeline Miller. Number 4 is Olympic Torch, and this is to read a book with fire or flame on the cover or in the title. You will have seen this book for that prompt before, and I'll be going with Kidnapped by the Krampus by Emily Shore, as there are flames, which are fire, for the candles. Prompt number 5 for this is the activity prompt, which is to watch the opening ceremony. So I will have to Google when exactly that is and either watch it back if I miss it, which I'm more than likely I will with work, or being tired from work and just the physical exertion it takes my body, or, and then watch it back if I can't watch it live. So the next category is for the bronze medal. Prompt number 1 is the 100-yard dash. This is to read a book under 200 pages. My selection for this one would be The Tombs of Ottawan. This is 179 pages by Ursula K. Le Guin. Prompt number 2 is breakdancing. This is to read a new to you author. For this one, I would go with The Last of the Plainsmen by Zane Grey. I have yet to read any Western, let alone a Zane Grey. So if I have read a Western, it was more romance heavy with maybe a little Western. I can think of one like that comes to my mind, but Western heavy, no. Moving on, prompt number 3 is diving. This is to dive into a book blind. For this one, I think a short story collection would be great for that. So I'm going with Dark Water by Koji Suzuki, because it's short stories, so you don't really know a lot, especially about a lot of these short stories. So I think that one would be great. Number 4 is synchronized swimming. This is to read a book with a beautiful cover, and that would be The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. Absolutely beautiful cover. Love it. And the activity prompt for the bronze medal is to move your body, so workout. So for me, that probably would just be walking in place for a little bit. Next category is for the silver medal, and prompt number 1 is gymnastics, and this is to read a book that features found family. For this one, I will go with The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, book number 2 in the Broken Earth series. I would say book number 1 definitely had a found family, as the character is trying to find her daughter. People get gathered around her, and so it creates this found family. I think that will continue on with this. My mind immediately goes to Harry Potter, because that I know is definitely found family, and a lot of people have said that. So, but I do sometimes have a hard time going, is it really a found family or just making friends? So I do have a hard time with the found family aspect. But I have heard it's found family, and in my opinion, it could be considered a found family, I guess, but I could be wrong, but let me know if you agree or not. Prompt number 2 is equestrian. This is to read a book with an animal on the cover or in the title. I'm going with How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. There is a dog right there, so that works. Prompt number 3 is cycling. This is to read a book with a bike on the cover. The only book that I could find in my collection that has a bike on the cover is a Sarah Dessen, and that is Along for the Ride. These are young adults. They are categorized as coming of age, and I do like Sarah Dessen's writing, and it's been a while since I've picked up a book from this author, so it would be good to pick up that book. Prompt number 4 is soccer. This is to read a book that has at least 2 different covers on it. I am only aware of 2 different covers on this one, so that's why I'm going with this book. And that one is Fear Street's Night Games by R.L. Stine. This is the newer cover, and I remember the cover looking very different. So for me, this book has 2 covers. And then prompt 5 for silver medal is to do a group activity. So I could do a group activity with, like, my mom. We have 2 friends that could come over and we can play a game. That would be a group activity. We try to do that at least once a month, so that would cover it. The next category is and the last category is for the gold medal, right? Yes, the gold medal. Prompt number 1 is a marathon. This is to read a book that is over 500 pages. Night Warriors by Graham Masterson. This is, I think it's like 504 pages with the epilogue. Yes, with the epilogue it's 504. Without the epilogue it's like 501. So still, at least 1 page over 500, it'll count. Prompt number 2 is fencing. This is to read a book with a weapon on the cover or in the title. The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. We have a spear and we have swords, so weapons on the cover. 3x3 or 3x3, I'm not sure exactly what that is supposed to be, but it's basketball, and this is to read a book with 3 people on the cover. I didn't want to fudge this too much. I didn't know if they had to be exactly 3 people or at least 3 people. So I'm going with exactly 3 people, and my selection would be Casey's Secret by Ophelia Bell. As you can see, man, woman, man. Got a sandwich there. Next up is Paralympics, and this is to read a book with disability rep, and Talia Hibbert is a good option to pick up a book from because each book has some sort of disability rep. This one has chronic illness, and I thought there was something else like anxiety or something. So, but definitely chronic illness in this one, like physical pain. Like I have physical pain, arthritis and stuff. So, disability rep. And then the last prompt for the gold medal is the activity prompt, which is to watch an Olympic sport that you are unfamiliar with. The summer would be a good one for me with unfamiliar. I don't even know what all is in there. I'm assuming fencing and basketball. Obviously running, that I do know. And I'm assuming soccer, cycling, and equestrian, and gymnastics. I am familiar with gymnastics from watching it. So there's a lot that I am familiar with, but I think there's going to be a lot I'm not familiar with. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to figure out what sports are in the Summer Olympics. And I'm assuming those other ones that I listed just because those are part of the prompts. So I'm assuming they are part of it. I love things that do with sports that deal with swimming, like diving and stuff like that. But I'm still not very familiar with it, so I don't know how familiar you have to be with it, but I'm going to go with as unfamiliar as possible, I guess, with it. So we'll just see kind of what's there. I'm not sure what all events take place in the Summer Olympics, so this will be interesting to find out. Next up is the Hunger Games Readathon. This one I'm a member of on Discord. This is a team-based readathon, and you are sorted into teams. I was sorted onto District number 9. So I'm doing a Google search. District number 9, of the Hunger Games is the Grain District. So prompt number 1, there are different categories, and the first category is the pre-games. And prompt number 1 for the pre-games is the Reaping, and this is to select a book from your TBR at random. So I've got my books up there, and I'm just going to reach back. And I'm going to keep looking over here, and we're going to go with this one. All right, Matt Haig, How to Stop Time. So this will be book number 1. Prompt number 2 is the Train Ride, and this is to read a book that is recommended on the Discord channel under the channel name of #recommendations. Well, it's the Hunger Game Readathon, so the Hunger Games is recommended, and so this would be my option. And I would like to reread this. It's been a bit since I've read the Hunger Games, so yep. Prompt number 3 is City Circle Parade. This is to read a book that has a lot of different online fanfare and hype. And the one that I'll go with is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And again, please remember these are all subject to change. Prompt number 4 is the Training Center, and this is to read a genre you typically wouldn't read, which would be for me Western. And so I'm going with The Last of the Plainsmen by Zane Grey. It's not because I don't like Western. I don't know if I like Western. So it's just an intimidating genre, so I've just never really picked it up. But it would be nice to actually try an authentic Western. Prompt number 5 is the Interviews. This is to read a book that is either written or recommended by a favorite author, and one of my favorite authors is R.L. Stine. So Night Games in the Fear Street World by R.L. Stine would be my choice. And then number 6 is Making Allies, and this is to read a book with a found family. My choice will be The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. So I think my goal for this Hunger Games readathon is just to complete all of the prompts for the pre-games area. And then all the other ones, or the categories, I will just try to do as I can. Because, I mean, it's 6 prompts, so that would be 6 books for the pre-games. The next one is Survive the Arena, which there are 15 prompts for that. And then we have the district prompts. And then, so I have like 4 pages of prompts. So my goal is to try to get all 6 prompts fulfilled for the pre-games. And then I'm just going to fill in wherever I can. So I'm just going to tell you about the prompts for the rest, because some of these I'm not going to know until I read the book if they're going to fulfill the prompt. So I think I'm going to call it good at that. So for Survive the Arena, the prompts are as follows. 1, Into the Arena. This is to read a unique or isolated location. So isolated location. Number 2 is Bloodbath. This is to read a horror or a splatterpunk. Number 3 is Find Supplies. This is to read an author you have never read from before. That one would be easy for me to do. Number 5 is Find Shelter, to read a book from your favorite genre. Again, easy to do. Number 5, Hunt for Food. This is to read a book with food on the cover. Number 6, Run for Your Life, to read a dystopian or a thriller. Number 7, Make a Fire. This is to read a book with red, yellow, and or orange on the cover. Number 8 is Stalk Your Prey. This is to read a dark romance or a thriller with a stalker. Number 9, Find Water. This is to read a book that takes place underwater. Number 10, Pillage for a Weapon. This is to read a book that has won or been nominated for an award. Number 11, Find a Mutt. This is to read a book where the main character has a pet. There is a cozy mystery series that a lot of cozy mysteries, the main character has a pet. There are a few where they don't, but a lot of them they do. So cozy mystery would be a really good choice for that one. Number 12 is Take Damage. This is to read a book that involves a third act breakup or betrayal. So a lot of romance books would definitely fall into this category. And I'm curious as exactly how many prompts are in this readathon so that you know why I'm not picking a book for every prompt. Number 13, Outlast Your Competitors. This is to read a book that has more than 40 chapters. I did look into this one. Out of all the books that I selected, it would be The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. I asked my Alexa Dot, how many chapters this has, because these chapters are not numbered, they're just titled. So for example, one chapter is Mercy. So they're not chaptered, but when I asked my Alexa device, it says that this book contains 110 chapters. So that would definitely fit that prompt. So I think if I read this book, I'm slotting it in for that prompt. Number 14 is Capital Darling. This is to read a book from one of the game makers' list of favorites. I did look, the game makers have put the Hunger Games on as their list of favorites. So if I were to fulfill this prompt, I would reread book number 2. So this one I do know. I would reread book number 2 in the Hunger Games series, which is Catching Fire. So that is the one that I would use for that one. So yeah. And then finally, the 15th prompt for, what is this category? Survive the Arena, is Be Crowned Victor. So this has been a book that has been on your wish list for a while. For that one, I would probably count The Fury by Alex Michaelides, because I pre-ordered it, and so technically it has been on my wish list radar for a while because I did pre-order it. So that is 15 prompts for that. We're already at 21 books. So if I were to read a book per prompt. The next grouping we have is district prompts. Number 1 is The Capital. This is to read a book based on the cover or aesthetic appeal. So a cover you like. Prompt number 2 is District Number 1. This is to read a book where the title is cursive, or has metallic or foiling on the cover. Number 3 is District Number 2, which is to read a book that is competition or tournament at its core. Number 4 is District Number 3, which is set at a different time period or has time travel elements. Number 5 is District Number 4, which features the beach, a cruise, or fishing. Number 6 is District 5, which is to read a non-fiction. Number 7 is District Number 6, which is to read a book that features a character that struggles with addiction. Number 8 is District Number 7, and this is to read a comfort book. So I'll be able to fulfill quite a few of these. It just depends on what I read outside of the pre-games prompts, because those ones I'm saying are my priority. Number 9 is District 8. This is to read a book from a series with more than 8 books. A lot of cozy mysteries have more than 8 books. Not all of them, but quite a few of them. Number 10 is District Number 9, and this is to do a buddy or a group read. Number 11 is District Number 10. This is to read a Western or set on a ranch or a farm. Number 12 is District 11. This is to read from an author from a marginalized or underrepresented community. So a Black author, autistic author, you get the idea. Number 13 is District Number 12, and this is to read a book that is less than 200 pages. And finally, prompt number 14 for the district prompts is District Number 13, and this is to read a book that is set in a country you have not read from this year. So that's an additional 14 prompts. That brings that up to 35 prompts. We are now on to character prompts. Yes, there are more. Number 1 is Katniss Everdeen. This is to read a young adult. Number 2 is Peeta Mellark. This is to read an artistic element, or a book that has an artistic element. Number 3 is Gail Hawthorne. This is to read a book with a strong social or political message, or a banned or contested book. Number 4 is Hamish Abernathy. This is to read a book with unreliable narration or communication breakdowns. Number 5 is Alma Coyne. This is to read a book that is recommended by someone in authority. So recommended by your teacher, by a librarian, whatever is authority to you, it is recommended by that person. Number 6 is Havensby. Playtart, I don't know. I can't remember how to say this name. So Havensby. This is to read a book with themes of rebellion, resistance, or activism. Number 7 is Tigress. This is a book inspired by mythology, folklore or has legendary creatures. Number 8 is Dr. Aurelius. This is a main character where the main character works in the medical field. Number 9 is Buttercup. This is to read a book with an animal companion or a pet featured. And number 10 is Cressida. This is to read a book that has been adapted into a movie or a TV series. So, hey, I could try to reread the whole Hunger Games trilogy, and that would cover that one too. So that's an additional 10 prompts there. Oh, look at that. We're up to 45 books. There's no way I am reading 45 books in the month. Okay, the next category is the last one, and this is prompts based on quotes. Number 1, you love me, real or not real. This is to read a book with mental health rep. Number 2, The Dandelion in the Spring. This is to read a book with a floral cover. Number 3 is Some Walks You Have to Take Alone. This is to read a book with a single POV. Number 4, Strange Things Did Happen Here. This is to read a mystery. Number 5, Fire Burns Brighter in the Darkness. This is to read a book with a neurodivergent main character. And finally, number 6 is to read a book, Want a Sugar Cube is the quote, and it is to read a book with candy on the cover or in the title. That brings this up to 51 prompts are your options to choose from for the Hunger Games Readathon. So I like to pick one book per prompt. I don't like to double up. That's just me. One book equals one prompt, or one prompt equals one book. In my mind, I have trouble deviating from that. So unless it's, again, like the Hunger Games Readathon and then the Monsters University Readathon, then I can double up because it's one prompt from this Readathon and one prompt from this Readathon for one book. So, but outside of that, in one Readathon, I have a hard time putting multiple prompts for that book, unless it specifically says, like, you can choose up to 5 prompts this works for, and we're going to attack, so what 5? But that's a little different, and I can do that for a specific Readathon. But outside of that, I do have trouble. So that is the Hunger Games Readathon. This next Readathon that I will be working on is the Phase Out Your TBR. We are working on Phase 5. This is created by Chris from over at Chris's Corner. And the goal is to get a run of 8. There are 4 different categories. We have the red prompts. We have the... What do I have written down next? We have the green prompts, the blue prompts, and yellow? Yes, the yellow prompts. So I've picked just 8 that will complete my run of 8, and it happens to be, for all the red prompts, 1 through 8. So if I'm able to stick with this, that'll work. And again, these are subject to change, but these are kind of what I'm thinking of for this. So prompt number... I will tell you all of the prompts in case you're interested, but the red prompts, each one has 12 prompts. So number 1 is continuous series. This is number 2 in the Greenbone Saga series, the Broken Earth series, and that is the Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. So that will be continuing a series. Number 2 is disability or mental health rep. Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert has chronic health disability. Number 3, Nature on the Cover. The Honey Witch, bunch of flowers and bees. Number 4 is a pretty cover. I love this cover. It is a very pretty cover. I love all the shades of purple, the ballet shoes with the flowers inside of them. So yes, I do like this cover. Number 5 is to read a paperback. Most of the ones I'm showing are paperbacks, including this one, How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. Number 6, short book. Fear Street book. They are all short books, less than 200 pages. So this one is 165 pages, so definitely a short book. So Night Games by R.L. Stine. Number 7 is a book that has 5 or more words in the title. The Rocky Road to Ruin, 5 words by Mary Allen. This is a book 1 in an ice cream shop mystery, which is a cozy mystery series. And then finally, number 8 is a standalone, another paperback. This is a standalone, A Dash of Salt and Pepper by Kosoko Jackson. I really want to get to that one too. So prompt number 9, I have not picked books for any of the rest of these because these will complete the run of 8. And then whatever else I read, I'll try to fit in elsewhere just for fun, or maybe not even worry about it and just count it done. So number 9 is a book that you have been avoiding. Number 10 is a highest rated book. Number 11 is to read a book with a weapon on the cover. And number 12 is an adult. And then we have the green prompts. 1, lowest rated. 2, animal on the cover. 3, single point of view. 4, an even page number. Number 5, LGBTQIA plus rep. Number 6 is to start a series. Number 7 is to read a hardcover book. Number 8, a book you have high hopes for. Number 9, fire on the cover. Number 10, set outside of your country. So where I live in the US, it would be anything outside of that. And number 11, a young adult. And 12, an anticipated read. And then we have the blue prompts. We have 1, people on the cover. 2, a newest purchase. 3, a new to you author. Number 4, a middle grade. Number 5, a book you have low hopes for. Number 6, dictionary word of the day. Number 7, your favorite color is on the cover. Number 8, book with a map. Number 9, BIPOC rep, so black, indigenous, person of color. Number 10, water on the cover. Number 11, your favorite genre. And number 12, an odd page number. And then finally, the yellow prompts, we have air on the cover. Number 2, food or drink on the cover. Number 3, an image on the spine. Number 4 is a big book. 5, one-word title. Number 6, a TBR vet. Number 7, no people on the cover. Number 8, finish a series. Number 9, multiple POVs. Number 10, an author you love. Number 11, an ugly cover. And number 12, space on the cover. So those are all of the prompts for the Phase Out Your TBR. So continuing on, the next one I have is hosted on Discord, and that is the Little Cafe, and this is a team-based readathon, and I have decided to join Team Pineapple. Each team, there are 4 teams, each team has 6 prompts. So let's go ahead and decide what I'll be reading for Team Pineapple. Number 1 is there are 3 pineapple foods and 3 pineapple drinks. So number 1 is Pineapple Whip. This is to read a short book or a novella. I think for this one I would do Night Games by R.L. Stine. Again, short book. Number 2 is Pineapple Fritter Rings. This is to read a book with a ring or circle on the cover. I think I will go with a dash of salt and pepper for that one. Because, I mean, if you look inside the onions, there are rings inside the onions. So that one will work. Pineapple Popsicle. This is to read a book with a cold character. That one's a little bit more difficult. No, I know what one I would do for that one. Let's just go with Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, because Red is kind of cold and standoffish to Chloe, at least for the bit, and he starts to unthaw and warm up to her. So I think that would count. Or I could go with a character that's in a cold setting and so they are physically cold. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Number 4 is Pineapple Margarita, and that's to read a book with a yellow cover. Do I have a book with a yellow? Yes, I know what I can use. In the lighting, it's yellow. I don't really have a full-blown yellow. I'll have to do some looking. There is one I have, but I have already read it and I'm not in the mood to reread it. But gold is a shade of yellow, in my opinion. So I think I'll count this because from far away it looks yellow. So The Hunger Games. And number 5 has a twist. The prompt is Pina Colada. I think I'll go with The Fury by Alex Michaelides for this one because it's a mystery thriller. They have twists. And then finally, the last prompt for Team Pineapple is Pineapple Mint. Pineapple Mint Lemonade, and this is to read a book with disability rep. I was going to say I have no idea what to do for that one, but this one has autism rep, so there is the disability rep. And this one is Show Us Who You Are by Elle McNoll. So those are the ones for Pineapple. Okay, so the prompts for Peach, in case you are more inclined to choose that, we have Peach Sorbet, which is to read a book that you think or that you will find refreshing. Number 2 is Peach Cobbler. This is to read a book set in a hot location. Number 3 is peach salad. This is a hybrid genre prompt. Number 4 is peach iced tea, and this is to read a 2024 release. Number 5 is Peach Paradise. This is to read a book that features an LGBTQIA plus character. And number 6 is Peach Boba, and this is to read a book you think will be fun. The next group of prompts is watermelon, or no, excuse me, blueberry. Watermelon I have written down last. Blueberry. Number 1 is blueberry pancakes, and those sound really good. And this is to read the book that is first in a series. Number 2 is blueberry popsicle. This is to read a poetry collection. And I do want to show you one. I did get a book of poetry collection, and I would love to read this one. And so if I'm able to read the prompts for another team, it would be this one. And that is You Are Your Own Fairy Tale by Amanda Lovelace. And this is a definite poetry collection. I'm excited for this. Number 3 is Blueberry Tart. This is to read a book that has been published before 2010. Pretty much any R.L. Stine First Street book would work for that. Number 4 is Blueberry Lemonade. This is to read a celebrity memoir. Number 5 is Blueberry Gin Fizz. This is to read a book with an unreliable narrator. Number 6 is Blueberry Smoothie. This is to read a book where the author is the same ethnicity as you. So moving on, we have the other team, which is Watermelon, and we have Watermelon Siles. This is to read a book by a Palestinian author. Number 2 is Watermelon Ice Lolly. This is to read a book with a red and green spine. Number 3 is Watermelon Grilled Steaks, and this is to read a book that has been on your TBR for over 5 years. Number 4 is Watermelon Slices. This is to read a book based in a cold location. Number 5 is Watermelon Punch. This is to read a thriller or murder mystery. And number 6 is Watermelon Mocktail, and this is to read a series continuation or the last book in a series. And as of right now, that is it. Those are all of the readathons and my plans for the books to read for those. However, there is an additional readathon. There's an additional one or two. There are 2 additional readathons, and because these are last minute, like I just watched the announcement videos. I've been behind on videos. I just watched the announcement videos for these yesterday, the 27th. I'm not going to worry about picking books for these 2 readathons. Whatever I read, I will try to fit into the prompts. So I still want to tell you about these 2 readathons and where I found these videos. So in case you are interested, you can check it out. And I still want to tell you about the prompts. So this one that I found is the Magical Hopathon and is based on Disney World, or the Disney Worlds, 4 of them. Anyway, I found this one on YouTube under Rachel's channel. Rachel, I know I'm going to say this last name wrong. Cress? It's Cerys. So, the first prompt you have to do before any of the others, and that is to read a book you cannot stop thinking about. And my understanding is that you can read this book before the readathon starts in July. I don't know, but the book that immediately comes to my mind for this is this dark book, Caution Tape. I just can't stop thinking about this one. I want to know what's inside the contents of this. I know it will be sexually explicit, so do be aware of that. If you don't like the sex scenes, then obviously avoid this one. But I'm thinking I'm going to use that one for my entrance into the parks. So that's what I'm leaning towards. So then we have the prompt, the magic, or the theme park, the Magic Kingdom, and each one has their own prompts. So they have the attractions, snacks, and shows. So for the Magic Kingdom, the attraction prompts are Tron. This is Tron Light Cycle. This is to read a newer release, so 2023 and onwards, so 2023 and more recent. The next one is Tanya's Bayou. This is adventure. This is to read a book that has multiple covers. The one that comes to my mind for this is anything by Willow Winters, because she has the discrete version, she has artist renditions, she has the discrete series that are not in like the colors, which I like. She has ones that are different shades of gray and black, and then an original cover as well. So there's like at least 4 cover options. And then she also has bind up ones, which have their own different cover. And so yeah, there's a lot of cover options. So Willow Winters, if you like spice and smut, Willow Winters would be a great one to look into for that prompt because of the multiple covers. Number 4 is Winnie the Pooh. This is to read a book that feels like a warm hug. For me, cozy mysteries tend to do that. And darker books too. Number 5, or the next prompt, is Peter Pan's Flight, and this is to read a classic. Number 6 is Big Thunder Mountain, or the next prompt is Big Thunder Mountain, and this is to read the wildest book in the wilderness, however you interpret this. The next grouping is snacks. We have Gaston's Cinnamon Bun. This is to read a book over 400 pages. Number 8 is Dole Whip. This is to read a booktuber favorite. And now we have the shows for the Magic Kingdom. And the prompt is Happily Ever After. This is to read a book at nighttime. And then the next one, or the last prompt for the Magic Kingdom, is Festival of Fantasy, and this is to read a colorful book. Again, these are all up to your interpretation. And now we have Epcot. I'm sure I said that wrong. The attraction prompts. We have Soarin', which is to read a swoon-worthy main character book. Cosmic Rewind. This is to read a fast-paced book. Living with the Land. This is to read a short book, so one that is less than 300 pages. We have Moana, Journey of the Water. This is to read a book with interactive elements. I'm not sure what I would do. The only book that comes to my mind for that one is the Mina Lima edition of the Harry Potter. Outside of that, I am drawing a blank. So now we have the snacks. We have Club Cool. This is to read a book set in a different country. Food and Wine. This is Festival Booth. This is to read a book by randomizing a book off of your TBR. And then we have the shows, Voices of Liberty, a beautiful cover. Turtle Talk with Crush, a middle grade. Now we are on to Hollywood Studios, and you can do these different studios in any order, she said. The attractions, we have Rise of the Resistance. This is to read a science fiction or a fantasy. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Holy cow. This is to read a book that you can binge. Slinky Dog Dash, a middle grade. And Tower of Terror, plot-driven book. The snacks for Hollywood Studios, we have a Ronto Rap Batu, however the heck you say that, something outside of your comfort zone. Frozen Cola, Summer Vibes. And then the show prompts are Phantasmic. This is to read a book by a favorite author. And Frozen Sing-Along. This is to read a book while listening to the audiobook. Very easy for me to do because I love to listen to the audiobooks while I physically read. With my brain, I just soak it in. When I'm physically reading while listening along, I don't know if that's because I'm autistic or something else. I just absorb the books a heck of a lot better when I do that. And the last theme park is the Animal Kingdom. The attractions are Flight of Passage. This is to read a book that is a 5-star prediction. Expedition Everest. This is to read an intimidating book. Dinosaur, a book featuring time travel. Kilimanjaro Safari is to read a road trip featured book. The snacks for the Animal Kingdom are The Night Blossom. This is to read a book that is Instagram worthy. And for me personally, Instagram worthy is I don't DNF the book and I actually give it at least a 3 stars or higher. For me, that's Instagram worthy. Anything less, so like a 2-star or 1-star, I generally do not take a picture of the book and post it. So that's me. Next is Cheeseburger Pods. This is to read, it says 2 crossover genres or 2 different formats or 2 formats. And then the last 2 prompts are for the shows in the Animal Kingdom, which we have Nemo the Musical, Out of Your Comfort Zone, and Festival of the Lion King, a TBR vet. And the last readathon I just saw the announcement video for is hosted by Zach from Rye Reads on YouTube. Zach also has a Discord channel, and I just have missed the notification for this, so I just found it. There are 26 prompts for this. And this readathon is called Bring Your Own Word. So you're going to read a book for every letter of the alphabet. Each letter has its individual prompt. And then out of the books that you read, for example, I could read the I could just read 3 books for this readathon, and I could read it for C, A, and T and do the word cat. And that would be the word that I bring to the table, is cat. So that's pretty much all it is. So again, as I read, I'll see where they fit, and then I will see at the end of the month what letters I got and what word I was able to get out of those letters. So we'll see how this one goes. So let me tell you what these prompts are. We have, so for the letter A, it is a book of your choice, so a free pick. B is blind date, or a book you know nothing about. C, comfort reads, so a book or a genre that brings you comfort. D, Dead by Daylight, you know someone dies in this book. E, Elephant in the Room, it is over 350 pages. F, Food for Thought, makes you think. G, group read, read with a group of people. I'm definitely, for that one, I'm automatically thinking my Autism Reads selection for July, so How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. H is Hacked, this is to read a book that someone else chose for you. I think I know what I'll do for that one, but I'm not sure if I get to that one. I'll Stand By You. Read a book with your bestie. J, Just Choose. This is a book you want to pick up and read right now. Simple. Not so much for me because I want to read all the books right now. So, K is Kaleidoscope. This is to read a book with multiple POVs. L, Look Alive. A book you think will surprise you. M, Midnight Woes. This book will keep you up at night. N, Newer Release. It's released in the last 365 days from when you start. So if I start it today, June 28th, it has to be released between now and today and from June 28th of 2023. So 365 days. Although if there's a leap year, that would change that date. So that would take a little bit of math. Obviously, if it's less than 1 year, like if it was released in May and I'm reading it in June, that's less than 365, so it could still work. I could still and not have to do a bunch of math on that one. O is One True Love. This is a book that others might not love as much as you. P is Play It Again. This is a book that reminds you of your favorite song or playlist. Q is Quests Lie Ahead. Leaves you wanting more. Oh, and I was going to say, for Play It Again, reminds me of your favorite song or playlist. One of my favorite songs that if I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I really like to listen to, what is his name? Peyton Parrish. There's 2 songs by Peyton Parrish I absolutely love. Ragnarok and Valhalla Calling. And the book that makes me think of that is pretty much anything by John Gwynne. So that's what I would use for that one if I do it. At least for right now. So we did P, Q, leaves you wanting more. R, Ready or Not. This is a book that you've been ready to read but haven't picked it up yet. S is Signs, a book you've been excited to read but have put off. T, To Read or Not to Read. This is a book that you have heard mixed reviews about, so you're kind of wondering, should you or should you not? U, Under the Weather. This book leaves you unwell. A book that I can think of that would leave a lot of people unwell is Tender is the Flesh because of the major talk of cannibalism. So, and I know people have mentioned that they really didn't like that, so I can see that. V, Vanilla Baby. This is just to be vanilla and pick a popular book. Just read a popular book. W, WWYD. What would you do? This is your choice. X is X-ray. This is to read a book that makes you feel seen. So for me, if the book has autism rep, like, there's one I read recently. Crap, I'm blanking on it. Queens of Geek is one. Afrotistic is one for me. Can You See Me would be another one. So there's a couple of them where the main characters are autistic, and so it really talks about the struggles. So for me, that makes me feel seen. Y is Your Love, and this is to read a book that lives rent-free in your heart. And finally, we have Z, which is Zodiac, and this is to read a book that best represents your zodiac sign. For me, that would be a book that represents Sagittarius. I got to do some research. I know that we're loyal. I see, and I'm not big into astrology. I think it's loyal and adventure are the two that I know of. And that outside of that, that's pretty much it. I tried to get into astrology when I was a teen, like junior high, because like all of the people that I knew in my class were big into astrology. I really couldn't care. I was just like acting like I liked it when it's like, I don't care about this, but I'm going to say I like it because you like it type of a situation. So yeah, so those are the books I'm thinking about for these readathons. A lot of readathons. Again, I will just read and then I will just try to fit in these books wherever they will go. So let me know, out of any of these readathons, are any of them the ones that you will be participating in? And if you are on any of the readathons that are team-based, let me know what team you are on. So, like for example, the Hunger Games readathon, I'm on District 9. Monsters University, I'm on Team OK. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and talk to me in the comment section below. Until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I will talk to you later.